Hello, friends. I hope that you are well navigating the winds of change that we are all moving through right now. And I know that there's just a lot going on in the world. And we're seeing, the rising of, revolutionary energy in many parts of the world. We're seeing more authoritarianism. We're seeing volcanoes and earthquakes, and the sun is bringing us more solar storms. I mean, there's a lot going on. So I really just want to encourage you to be taking good care of yourself, to make sure you're getting enough rest, that you're making your well-being a priority, that you're not allowing yourself to get colonized by fear. There's a lot of fear that is being stimulated in the collective that is actually weakening people who fall into that. That's one of the things for us to all to understand is that fear is not a well-resourced state, and that people who are in a state of fear are more easily controlled. And that's part of the reason that these outer forces are trying to stimulate so much fear. So one of the best things you can do is just really say, no fear. I am not allowing fear to take over. You may still have periods of anxiety, or you may feel a little disrupted, but, do your breath work, right? Get your feet on the ground, lie on the ground, get out into the living world, make sure that your body is well resourced, and all of that. We'll talk more about that in a minute. All of the different things that you can do to take care of yourself, because this is a really challenging and energetically intense time. And in order for you to be really making the best choices for yourself, you want to be in a well-resourced state. Because if you're not well-resourced, we tend to make poor choices. So I'll talk more about that in a minute, but I just wanted to start out by saying that this is just my heart to yours, acknowledging we're all in this together. I know I'm going through my own evolutionary process. I'm doing my own breath work and neurosystem regulation tools, and time outside and time with friends, and just the things that I know help me to be more resourced, doing creative practice, for example. So whatever it is for you, because that will enable you to better navigate all of the stuff that is going on right now, and help you to actually have some agency during this time. Because one of the things that happens with fear is we lose perspective on our agency. And the agency that we utilize out of fear is generally coming out of survival mechanisms, right? And so we don't really make good decisions that way. I mean, obviously, if you actually are in physical danger, you're going to jump out of the way of the speeding bus. Yes, you will do that. But short of there actually being physical danger in your environment, you want to be able to just really get into a calmer state so that you can make better choices for yourself going forward. Okay, so you are going to have some wonderful support from the alignment that is actually virtually the same for the Virgo new moon, which is coming up on the 21st. It's the second Virgo new moon, and it's an eclipse. And then we also have the equinox, which is coming up on the 22nd. And so we'll be moving into Libra season as well. So, and the charts are very, very similar. So as I talk about the chart, it's really going to be for both events. And then I will talk about a couple of things that are more specific for like the new moon and the eclipse, and then also for the equinox. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So as I was sharing with you a moment ago, choices right now are really, really important. And you might be feeling particularly challenged around choices because the environment is changing so much. And so, the things that you might have chosen in the past maybe don't feel safe anymore, or they've disappeared, or maybe there are things that you used to choose that are no longer enlivening you, no longer making you feel excited about life or engaging, and so on. I know I've had a variety of different things just kind of dropping away, things I didn't think were going to drop away, other things I thought would. And there's always kind of some grief involved when things fall away as well. So if you've been feeling that, I totally get it. And I have created a special event. It's happening next week, September 22nd to the 26th. Yes, I started it on the equinox on purpose, which is called the Best Choice Challenge. And it is an opportunity for you to get to demystify your understanding of human design authorities, which is the way that we are built according to human design to make our best decisions. And then we're also going to be looking at the neurology of choice making and what goes on with our survival brain and how the survival brain can get in the way of changes that we actually want to make, and then what we can do about that. We'll also look at the programming that we have from culture that leads us away from our inner guidance and what we can do about that, and how we can awaken and activate and come to an embodied sense of our human design authority so that you can really be moving forward, knowing how to make the best choices for you. You'll have the opportunity to practice with me, with other people in the challenge, and you'll walk away with a kind of toolkit that you can always use that will help you to get into the right state of consciousness to be able to make the best choices for you. So I'll put the link for that down below. And we will be streaming some of it on YouTube, but you do need to register in order to get access to all of the materials. And also if you want to do some work with me and with other people that are going to be participating. Okay. Then I have another announcement, which is that I'm going to be doing a live stream on the 18th. Depending on when you're watching this video, it'll either be coming right up or you can watch the replay. It is an event with my good friend Lauren Jublier, who is an astrologer and a Chinese medicine doctor and also a shamanic practitioner. And we have done a number of different live streams before, and it's really fun for us to bring in kind of the astrological and shamanic point of view, and then the human design and neurological and energetic point of view. And so we have a good time for that. So you can check that out. I will put the link for it down below as well. And it'll be the same link, whether it's coming up live or whether you get to watch the replay. So this particular configuration that's coming up 21st, 22nd, the new moon in Virgo, it is the second new moon. It's at the very end of Virgo. It's in the 29th degree. And it is also a solar eclipse. And then less than 24 hours later, we're going to have the Libra equinox. So we're going to move all the way into Libra and we begin the Libra season. Now let's remember that the influence of eclipses can go on for up to 6 months. And then when we hit one of the one of the what we consider the high holy days in the Celtic tradition, which are the solstices and the equinoxes, that they initiate new seasons, and that we will have that influence for the rest of the season. So for the here in the northern hemisphere, it'll be the fall. In the southern hemisphere, it'll be the spring. So wherever you are, you can look at that, what's particular for you. But in any event, we will be influenced by the seed points that is happening here at the Libra equinox. And it's very interesting that these two have virtually the same human design chart. So here, take a look at the chart and you'll see that the sun and the moon are in the gate 46. I love the gate 46. The gate 46 is on the G center, which if it were defined in your chart, it'd be a yellow diamond. And it's known as it's the heart. It's really what we think of as the heart. It's the center for love and lovability, identity, and direction. The heart chakra, according to the lore of human design, split into two at the end of the 18th century when we discovered Uranus. And then we had both the G center and the will center. And the will center is more like courage, value, money, worthiness, that kind of thing. And then the G center is more of what we generally think of as the heart, because it's love, lovability, identity, and direction. So all of the gates on the G center are our love gates. So the gate 46 is love of the body or embodiment. What could be more important during this time, right? Is for us to really be growing our relationship with our incredible bodies and helping them to be able to navigate through what's going on right now. And there are many, 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 many layers to this, right? Because of course there's navigating ordinary reality when prices are going up and there's crazy stuff going on with, immigration and people being captured and taken away here in the United States, like, crazy making kind of anxiety producing stuff going on, right? And it's like, how are we navigating that and how is that influencing our bodies? And so we want to look at how can we be loving our bodies even more and how can we be embodying even more. And I want to offer something I don't usually talk about, but I think I'm going to start talking about it more. And also it's becoming more and more significant for me, which is as we're looking at what's being called ascension. And I'll just acknowledge that in the past, I had a kind of resistance to it, even a negative association, because I thought it meant leaving the body. I thought it was like, we don't like it down on here on earth. We got to leave and get out of here. We're going to ascend and get out of here. We're going to get out of this body. Well, I actually love the earth and I actually love the body. And so I was never really drawn to that idea that we would do that. I'm like, I'll do that when I die. It's fine. I don't need to do it now. But what I'm really learning, and we are so fortunate that we have so many wonderful channels and psychics and teachers who are helping us to understand what this process is about and how we are really aligning with the organic timeline of the Earth's own ascension process. And I had a realization with a concept, which is that we are actually ascending in the body, not leaving the body, but ascending in the body. Well, what does that mean exactly, right? So that's kind of what I've been exploring and unpacking. I'm kind of agnostic about some of this, meaning I'm curious and I'm open, but I'm not like a huge believer because I honestly don't always know what to believe. But I am curious and I am like to investigate things, right? And then so I am investigating this and I am really loving what's happening with my body as I am doing meditations that are designed to help us to ascend in the body. They're helping to bring more light in on a whole nother level. I mean, I trained to be an Awakening Your Light Body teacher like 20 years ago, and I taught that work for a long time. Oren, who is one of the creators of that body of work, is a spiritual teacher that I continue to work with virtually every day. I love Oren's meditations. You might know from Sine Roman. It was his channel. She's no longer in her body, but they created a beautiful corpus of work. So I've been looking at this question of awakening the light body, growing our energy field. And then, more in the last, 8 years or so, I've been really doing Kundalini yoga, which is also about building the pranic force, right? Building the body of energy, helping to upgrade and heal the physical body by working with the energy body. So these are things I've been engaged in for a long time, but we're currently really going to another level with what is being brought through, what is being channeled through and being offered to us. And so I had this realization about, okay, ascension in the body. And I had actually a felt sense, like an embodied awareness of the light being, which is, of course, me. It's another expression of me. It's my soul self, or I like to call it my divine self. That's what Oren calls it, or my inner being, right? Higher self. These are all different words for the spiritual aspect of us, the energetic aspect of us that animates this form. Right. And part of what's happening, and I feel like this is really happening for me, you may be feeling this as well, which is that the me that I know from ordinary reality, my personality self, the part of me that navigates the 3D reality, right, is becoming more and more merged with this other part of me, whether that's a fifth dimension, sixth dimension, eighth dimension, right, part of me, but it is me, but it is a different aspect, which we often feel very disconnected from. Like we don't really know that it's there. Interestingly enough, that is the part of us that gives us guidance through our human design authorities, right? Because what is our authority but our interface with our inner being, which is here to guide us. And then the authorities are a mechanism that we use to be able to connect with our inner being that is guiding us. So that's my take on it, right? And I had this awareness of really ascending in the body and how much pressure that puts on the body, like how much the body has to evolve, in this process. So if you've been feeling more tired, if you've been having headaches, or if you've been more spaced out, or if you find you need more time away from technology, you need more time outside, lying on the earth, all of those things, this is giving your body a chance to digest, right? And integrate the changes that are going on from the sun, which are bringing in so much more light codes, aka radiation, right? Which is coming from the sun. It's activating the earth. Why we're getting all these volcanoes and earthquakes and different flooding and all kinds of things, right? It's where the sun is really, really in a potent dance with the earth right now. And the earth is going through her own ascension process. And that is also activating us and kind of pushing us forward in our spiritual growth. And so here during this new moon eclipse, and also during the equinox, this is a wonderful time to be really looking at how well am I taking care of my physical form. I know Lee Harris, who is an intuitive and a channel who I follow, talked, and particularly in his energy update for September, he was adamant about taking care of the physical body. He's like, your bodies are going to need a lot of help. So I encourage you to just look potentially at simple things that you can do, whether that is just drinking enough water, drinking high quality water, drinking living water that's been filtered if you can, drinking structured water, right? Blessing your water, right? Before you take it in, blessing the water that's already in your body, your mostly water, right? So that kind of thing, just really, realizing, how can I bless this element that is so vital to me? Or doing your breath work. And as you're doing that, blessing the air, blessing the energy that comes in as you're breathing, paying a little bit more attention to that. Or whether it's moving your body more. I'm in a training program about neurosomatic intelligence. And one of the things that I learned recently is that the nervous system's number one priority is to keep you alive, which is something you probably already knew, right? Its number one priority is to keep you alive, but its number two priority is movement, right? And think about it. Most of us don't move that much in our lives anymore. We sit. I mean, I know I sit. I got to get up and move around on a regular basis. I'm on a ball right now because that helps me to move while I'm working and while I'm talking to you, right? So you could look at how could you get some more simple movement into your life if movement isn't something you already do. And if you already do move, how can you do it in a way that is really blessing your body, healing your body, making your body feel just delicious, right? And what would that look like? And it could be different for different people. So whatever it is that just helps you to get more connected to your body, even just stroking your body, feeling what that feels like, our sensing tends to get really, kind of deadened because we spend so much time in the analytical mind, right? And we're not even sensing anymore. So you can even just do some sensing and just, feel like, what does that feel like? Oh, that feels great, right? Skin on skin. So there's many different ways that you can help enliven the body and take care of the body. And that is a wonderful thing to be doing during this particular time. Then the sun in the 46 is resting on the earth in the gate 25. So the gate 25 is also on the G center, and it's known as the love of spirit or simply spirit. And if you've been following me for a while, you would have heard me talk about Neptune and Saturn being in the gate 25, which is right at the very beginning of Aries. So here we are right at the end of Virgo, the very beginning of Libra, all the way across the human design mandala, all the way across the astrological wheel, as we've got Aries over there, right? It's the Libra Aries axis. And over there, we've got Neptune and Saturn that are lighting up the gate 25, which is exactly opposite the gate 26 on the human design mandala. And I'll show you an image of that a little bit. And in human design, we really see this as a partnership. Okay. I know in astrology, we tend to see this as like an opposition, that they can be a little bit this way, not as much as squares in astrology. Those are really potentially problematic relationships. But even so, in human design, we really see it differently, which is that whatever your earth is, and in this case, it's going to be the gate 25, and that is the love of spirit. It's your relationship with spirit, right? We were just talking about the spirit aspect of you in the body, right? So what is your relationship to spirit? What is your relationship to the light body that is animating your form? What is your relationship, to source energy more generally? Or if you have guides or angels or bodhisattvas that you work with, any of those, right? What is your relationship with that? You want to ground yourself in that, right? You want to think of this as your foundation. When you have that, then you can express the energy of your sun more, because you have a stable base, right? So then you can really express that. So it's when we have a strong foundation in our spiritual aspect that we can then really express our embodiment. And I think this is such a potent message for us during this time, because again, this is not about ascending and leaving the body. In fact, it's just the opposite. Because unfortunately, a lot of people are actually not in their bodies all that much. They're not. They're kind of up here somewhere. So in order for us to really evolve and grow, we need to get in the body, first of all, right? We need to become embodied to get in the body. But then we also need to grow our spiritual aspect inside of the body. And that is what Ascension is all about, is growing that aspect of us, our spirit aspect, our higher self, right? And having that part take up more and more space inside of our physical form. I love David Clements, who is a theoretical physicist and a spiritual teacher. One of the things he's been talking about is about how matter is waking up. It's lightening up, it's waking up. And that includes our bodies, which is that this matter is waking up, it's lightening up. And there's a variety of different ways that you can do this. And I encourage you to check them out if you're interested in that. I know this is something, like I said before, I've been doing for a long time, working with Awakening Your Light Body, working with Kundalini Yoga, doing all kinds of different energy practices. But more recently, David Clements is a teacher. Vivian Chauvet is another teacher that I've been working with that are really tapping into the support from our galactic neighbors that are helping us to upgrade the codes of light that our bodies are built on, so that we can have an easier time while we're going through this shift of the ages. And it's not about to happen. You know this. We're in it now, right? So this is such an auspicious alignment for us in regard for all of that. And it's really giving us a whole season, right? The whole season that starts with the Libra equinox, goes all the way to the Capricorn solstice. Wherever you are in the world, you have the opportunity during this time to be working on loving your body, becoming more embodied, but then also growing your love of spirit and growing your relationship with that light being that is animating your form. I want to show you what this looks like on the human design mandala. And you can see in this image, if you look at the yellow lines, I know it's really small, so you might want to screenshot it and blow it up. But you can see the yellow lines, and that's what we call an incarnation cross. Right across the center of the mandala, you'll see on one side is the gate 46. And in that gate, you'll see the symbol for the moon and the sun. Then all the way on the other side, you're going to see Neptune and Saturn and the Earth symbols that are all in that gate 25. And with the Neptune and the Saturn ones, you can see they're black and they're also red, which basically means that they were also in the gate 25, 88 days prior. They have been there since March. And Neptune is going to stay there. I think it's like the end of the spring in 2026. I'm not exactly sure what the date is, but it's like May or June of next year. Now, Saturn is going to retrograde out of the gate 25, just really in a few days, starting on September 25th. And it's going to be back in that gate 36, which is a bit of a challenging gate. It's the gate of crisis in traditional human design. So it can be a little bit challenging. It's going to be there through January. So with Saturn there, we may be seeing some more intensity coming in with top-down authority. And what crisis with top-down authority? Oh, gee, I think we're seeing it already. Well, we might get more of it with Saturn in that gate 36. But Neptune's going to stay in the gate 25. And so you can keep tapping into Neptune, lighting up that gate of the love of spirit. And of course, Neptune is so much about kind of the unconscious and our ability to tap into the vastness and the great unknown. And there's lots of love here, right? Very high frequency energy can be here. It can also, in its shadow expression, it can be kind of fantasy world, kind of illusions, kind of addictions and things like that also. But basically we want to be, really thinking of this as how are we using Neptune in a positive way to help us dissolve the things that are in our way of our own particular spiritual practice. And then how are we more and more embodying that love of spirit? I'd like to say a few words also about the equinox and what equinox is. A lot of times equinox is talked about in terms of balance, that it's a day where the length of the day and the length of the night are more or less, they're not exactly the same, but we like to say that they're the same length. And there's interesting lore about it that you can set an egg on its end and it'll stay there because of the way that the magnetic field of the earth works at the moment of the equinox, right? So we have different lore about the equinox. And what I really want to emphasize here is that this is a day of a global connection. It's a day when everyone on the earth is experiencing the same relationship to the sun and to the earth in terms of how much light is here and how much darkness is here. And so this is a time when we can really be expanding our consciousness and our awareness into more unity consciousness to realize that here we are on one world, right? We have no planet B. This is it. This is our home, and that we are in this together, and that part of what we are in this whole ascension process, right, is coming into unity consciousness, breaking down the barriers that are between us. There are so many forces that have been at work for thousands of years, not just now, thousands of years to divide us, divide and conquer. You've heard that before, right? And this is what's happening with this polarization right now, is we're being divided from each other. So one of the most important things you can do, even if you just do it in your own consciousness and in your own body and in your perspective, which is to end the polarization, to come into what Vivian Chauvet calls divine neutrality, which I really love. It's this sense of like, I'm not going to this extreme. I'm not going to that extreme. I'm coming into this sense of neutrality where I am present to, and I can witness and I can accept on a certain level everything that is happening. It doesn't mean that I condone it. It doesn't mean that I want it to keep happening, but I accept that it is happening. Because every time we reject and push against with that kind of energy, which we've all been taught to do, we are dividing ourselves against each other, right? And I know that's a little paradoxical because, of course, none of us want to support genocide, right? I don't think so. I certainly don't. I don't imagine that you do. So it's not that we're supporting genocide by being able to come in divine neutrality. It's more about not allowing our fear centers to be so activated that we go into reaction and then we just fight, right? And we try to, win by power over, win by force. And that is what we're aiming to evolve out of. I know this is challenging because we're like, but I don't like some of the things that are happening. And there's a lot of people who are suffering, right? I am not in any denial about that. And I'm not suggesting that you come to like it or condone it. But there is a difference to say, this is the state that humanity is in right now. And there are people who are expressing themselves in different ways. And I am accepting that this is happening. Because when I come into that divine neutrality, I come into 0 point. It's my point of power. When I refuse to be sucked into and colonized by conflict energy, that is when I am more empowered from the inside. As soon as I fall into conflict energy, right, I am no longer really connected with that deep spiritual aspect of myself. Right? I'm much more in my human self, and usually right in that brain stem, the survival brain, right? That's usually where we're at. And where our frontal lobe isn't online, we can't think well, and we become really reactive. So that's what we want to avoid. We want to come into a state of this divine neutrality because it enables us then to be pouring our energy so that we can be creating aspects of the new earth that we really do long for, that we really do love, that we are delighted to be pouring all of our energy into. I know this project that I'm involved in Costa Rica, which I've shared about a few times, that's something that I am pouring my energy into because this is a project. It's really a seed project for New Earth, right? The community, really a town that we're building in Costa Rica. And so you can look for yourself about where do you want to be pouring your energy? What do you want to be giving your precious life force energy, your heart, your beautiful heart to, and see if there's something nearby that you can be engaging in, or try something new. Get together with others around projects that are meaningful to you, because there's so many opportunities also for beautiful things that are now being developed. And never, never doubt that your efforts as one person can make a difference, because they do. Every single one of us matters. And if this kind of approach to human design, just in terms of looking at our bodies, looking at our nervous system, looking at our emotional lives, looking at how are we using human design as an ally, a partner to help us to evolve ourselves, then I do encourage you to come to the Best Choice Challenge, which is happening September 22nd to the 26th. We will bring in that equinox energy, this whole configuration of the chart that we're talking about there with love of the body and love of spirit. And for us to be able to really tap in to the deeper inner wisdom that's inside of us. And very often we do need to do some nervous system healing. We need to do some deprogramming in order to be able to do that. So if that excites you, I hope that you'll join us, and I would be delighted to get to play and deepen with you in that way. All right, my friends, many blessings, much love. Bye for now.